Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, I reported my old workplace to the tax office because they fired me. Inconsiderate neighbors can enjoy the chirping. Bucket Woman v. the Bins, again, and my partner. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I reported my old workplace to the tax office because they fired me. Context: I was the only white person, everyone else was Punjabi/Pakistani. I am also 19F and am completely self-reliant on putting myself through university/college and don't get any help from my family. Also, ATO equals Australian Taxation Office. So I worked for a local pizza place for 10 months before the owner sold the business and changed ownership. It was only a small place, you only needed 4 staff for a busy night, and I was the pizza chef. During the transition phase, I trained the new owners on everything: making and packing pizza, using the order system, all of the health and safety rules, customer service skills. During this time we got along really well. Even on some late nights they would drop me home if it was raining, and we would talk about family/friends/hobbies, etc. Unfortunately, on the first week they took over, I got sick from tonsillitis and couldn't work, but when I came back their attitude towards me changed completely. They were rude, gave me less shifts, and dismissed me completely when I tried to help, and refused to give me more responsibilities when beforehand they told me that when they took over I'd be learning how to make pastas and not just pizzas. They were also not listening to me when I told them they weren't following the OHS, occupational health and safety, rules, working without a hairnet, not washing hands, etc. During this time I saw one of my co-workers without a hairnet on. She has but length hair and it was down in a braid. I told her in front of the owner that she needed to wear a hairnet as it's a breach of our OHS rules, and that if someone gets a hair in their food or gets sick then the company will be liable and we could get in trouble. She told me no, and the owner agreed with her. 10 minutes later I found a ball of her hair sitting right where I make pizza. I grabbed it and took it to her and told her where I found it and that she has to put a hairnet on. She put a hairnet on top of her head but left her braid out. The next week I was talking to one of my co-workers and he wanted the next day off and I wanted to work, so we asked if we could switch, as it would have been a Tuesday, normally slowest days of the week, and that it would be a good opportunity for me to get training in making pastas while my co-worker could relax. The owner said no and that they wanted the other guy to work and not me. A month or so later I had a 2-week holiday to the US that they knew about and approved of, and when I came back I asked about my shifts and they told me they don't need me anymore. When I asked why, they couldn't give me a proper reason. Some reasons they gave me were that I was rude and racist to co-workers, that I refused to work in the kitchen, I messed up paperwork, and that they were overstaffed. All of which is false. I'm literally a chef, and I texted my now ex-co-workers asking if I was rude or racist to them. They said I'm not, and the only paperwork was my employee form, which I didn't mess up. They then hung up on me and then sent me abusive texts saying that I'm racist to my co-workers. Again, I asked them this and they said I'm not, and when I responded they told me they would get a lawyer involved if I contacted them again. Just to reiterate, under the old ownership, who I worked for 9-ish months, there were never any problems between myself, the owner, and any of my co-workers. Anyway, so here is where my petty revenge comes in. While I worked there I saw them do a lot of cash in hand payments to staff along with some other sketchy stuff with money. It's been 3 months and I don't have my super/retirement fund payment. So I called the ATO, Australian Tax Office, and told them about everything, about all of the cash in hand payments, about the absence of my super payment, not paying staff fairly, etc. The person on the phone told me that my information was more than enough and that they would be starting an investigation which will most likely turn into the owners getting audited. So go ahead and fire me for no reason. I'll report you. By the way, I now have an amazing job and absolutely love my co-workers. I've been there for a while now and I've never had any complaints. This workplace is also pretty diverse. Inconsiderate neighbors can enjoy the chirping. My fiancé and I are moving out of our old apartment, in part, because of our awful downstairs neighbors. Over the last year and a half, living above them has been pretty terrible. They often scream at their kids and each other, but their specialty is slamming doors. The slamming almost always starts around a certain time of the evening, so my fiancé and I would joke, "Oh goodness, is it slam o'clock already?" Or, "What time is it, sweetie?" "It's 1/2 slam o'clock." Even though the downstairs neighbors are so loud, they have absolutely no tolerance for any noises from us. Oftentimes, when we drop something on the floor, or make other standard apartment life noises, these neighbors start banging on their ceiling, our floor. Now, for our petty revenge. About 2 months ago, our fire alarm started chirping because the battery was getting low. We immediately replaced it, but kept the old battery. We have already moved out of the apartment but still have 2 weeks left on our lease. After my fiancé and I finish cleaning it, we plan to reinstall the old fire alarm battery so they can enjoy the chirping all day and night until our lease runs out, and maybe longer. Bucket Woman v. the Bins, again, and my partner. For the uninitiated, the house next door is haunted by a living woman who is fixated on bringing the bins in by 9 a.m. because they make the street look messy. My partner, Martin, nicknamed her the Bucket Woman because of this bin curfew, as he said it was like living next door to Hyacinth Bucket. Our Bucket Woman has been known to blockade driveways with empty bins to drive home her point. Another piece of relevant background: over the last couple of weeks, I've been having an allergic reaction to something outdoors, so I've been staying inside. Good news is, it's gotten under control and I think we've worked out what plant it is. Bad news is, for Martin anyway, I'm permanently excused from weeding. Since I was staying indoors, I didn't bring any of the bins in. Bucket Woman hovered around, repeatedly checking the bins and getting more frustrated. I went about my business, looking after new human. Okay, I was sleep deprived due to noisy wild creatures, and if someone even looked at me wrong, there was going to be a smoking hole in the universe. When Martin came home, he brought most of the bins in, except for the recycling bin which hadn't been emptied. He reported it to the council as a missed delivery, using their web form, because the council offices were closed. Now here's the important bit: the council instruction is to leave the bin out until it's collected. So that's what we did. Cue Martin's first act of pettiness: he attached a neat sign to the bin lid, saying something like, "Missed delivery, reported to council," and the date. That didn't stop Bucket Woman from checking the recycling bin several times, each time getting a bit more aggressive and slamming the lid back down again and flouncing off. This went on all weekend. Outside, periodically stalk to the bin, fling the lid open, peer inside, make dramatic gesture, slam lid shut, flounce off. Inside, ignore, with the occasional snigger. Cue Martin's second act of pettiness. He added another sign: "Leave the bin alone, Hyacinth." Only he used her real name. The replacement delivery happened on Monday. I was out, and when I got home I had a tired new human and groceries to wrangle, so I left it. Martin normally deals with any bins out when he gets home, but today he wanted to come inside first and talk about our days, so he left the bin too. We were in the front room when we heard the sound. Martin ran out the front door and down the path, with new human and I following. The bin was lying on its side in the road, and the Bucket Woman was hopping around on one leg. In complete silence, Martin opened the gate, glared at the Bucket Woman, his angry face is terrifying, picked up the bin and put it back. The lid was broken. Martin glared at the Bucket Woman again. Bucket Woman attempted a dignified hobble back next door. Still in silence, Martin went back inside. New human and I followed. After a few minutes in the office, Martin came out again, holding two new signs. Sign 1, broken bin reported to council. Sign 2, don't damage council property, Hyacinth. We don't have to leave the broken bin out until it is collected, but we are anyway because we're petty like that. Recycling is collected fortnightly. I have not seen this with my own eyes, but apparently Buckety is on crutches. The story doing the rounds is she stubbed her big toe on something and broke it. I say nothing, but my smirk is worthy of a certain politician star. Asterisk for the unfamiliar, the certain politician is ScoMo, or Scott Morrison, a former Australian Prime Minister known for his trademark smirk. Bucket woman sighting. I can confirm she is on crutches. I don't know exactly what happened, because her usual methods of communication are complaints put through our letterbox, or visits from authorities, and neither have occurred yet. The neighborhood explanations vary from the mundane, stubbed a toe, to the ridiculous, crushed by a wombat? The broken bin is still out, waiting to be replaced. She seems to be leaving it alone. Possibly because someone has drawn a big pair of eyes on a piece of paper and stuck it to the top of the bin. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.